Hello, 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 and welcome to Everyday Sent. My name is Dave Kruse, and this is episode 1. And you may be wondering, what are we doing with this podcast? I wish I knew. We're going to figure it out, but we're here to talk about what does it mean to live sent in your everyday life. Kind of makes sense, right? So every week we'll be doing a little series, kind of looking at 3 or 4 weeks of one topic, and we're starting our first series by exploring the mission of First Baptist. So I brought in the best person to talk about our mission, our senior pastor, Dr. Andy Brown. Hello, Andy.
Great to be here, Dave. Thank you. I'm excited about this setup. I love it.
It's good. It's good. We've had a lot of hard work. Matt and JM and others have put the work into it, and we're going to see what all of our hard work turns out. So
well, I'm excited. I'm already excited.
Yeah, it is. It is a good thing. So we're here to talk a little bit about our mission, Live Sent. Mm-hmm. Why don't you explain what is our mission? Like, we say that all the time, but like, what's the formal mission?
Yeah, one of the things that I really love about the way that we articulate our mission is we're not trying to reinvent anything, because Jesus Christ has been very clear about what the mission for his church is, and that's grounded in the Great Commission, found in all 4 Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke. But we decided to ground our mission in John. And the reason that we decided to ground it in John is because oftentimes mission statements can feel programmatic, and discipleship can feel like you're walking through a pathway as opposed to meeting a person.
Yeah.
And so we want to encounter Christ, and we want his life to be lived through us. And John, uniquely, in John 20:21, after the resurrection, Jesus says to his disciples, "As the Father sent me, so send I you." And so we have articulated that as live sent. And so then we had a big discussion a few years ago. We went down to New Orleans Baptist Theological Seminary and got to meet with some of their missiology experts down there, and they were helping us think through that. Well, what does it mean then? Okay, live sent is this phrase that sort of captured our imagination. Mm-hmm. Well, what does it mean to live sent? And for simplicity, we came across this definition: following Jesus and inviting others to come along.
That's great, and I love it. It's short, it's simple, it's easy to remember. But you're a theologian.
Yeah.
I'm kind of a theologian. People kind of sometimes are like, well, you guys get paid to think these ways. So if we really had to unpack this for the everyday person, how would you help them understand? This is what we mean.
Yeah.
I mean, following Jesus. There's a lot of depth in that. And we're going to talk about that in future episodes. Inviting other people to come along. Well, what do you mean by that? That's a hair bit intimidating, maybe a bit scary. We're going to talk more about that in future episodes. But if like you had to do a real quick, hey, let me put this in everyday person terms.
Yeah.
How would you help them understand that?
I think I would start with relationship. We have this person that we're following, this Jesus who is real, alive, interceding for us. We as believers, we believe in him. We're anticipating his return. And so we want to encounter him, whatever phase of life we're in. If we're just starting as a new believer and we're trying to figure out, what's the Bible? Who is this Jesus? I realize that he died on the cross for my sins. I know that he rose again. But what does that have to do with every day where I am? Do I need to get a new job? Can I continue in my job? All of these types of questions. And so following Jesus is what we're trying to press into, again, is that organic relationship with this person. And the reason why it's a bit frustrating maybe, because it's not as programmatic, it's more organic,
right,
is because we're really wanting you to develop that personal relationship with God wherever you are.
Yeah.
And so, in other words, following Jesus, then, you can follow Jesus as a mother. You can follow Jesus as a father, as a baker, as a professor, as a student, in our context in particular. And that following Jesus is going to look different for every person, but the end goal is always the same for every person. And that's this personal, intimate relationship with Jesus that's available through the Holy Spirit.
Yeah, and then the second part of that, the inviting others to come along.
Yeah, when we encounter Jesus, and this is Luke 24, when the disciples encountered the risen Lord, their hearts burned within them, and they couldn't wait to tell others the news that they'd received. And so a natural expression of following Jesus is never in isolation. It's always in community.
Yes.
And it's always involving others into this process. Jesus told us, go and make disciples. In other words, it's not just me and my walk with Jesus. It's not just me and my following Jesus. And that's why we put this cap on the end of it. Not just an overemphasis of a personal, intimate relationship with Jesus, but a shared expression, whether that's with your children as a father, or with your husband, or if you're a wife, or with your boss. In other words, it's a shared expression. You are following Jesus, and there's a pattern in your life, and you're purposeful about this. There's a pattern in your life that you are saying, hey, as I'm following Jesus, I want you to come along with me.
Yeah, and I love that because a lot of times we make our faith very personal. We're in America, very consumeristic, individualistic is a good way to put it. But that's not really what the New Testament is calling us to. It calls us into community. And I love that second part of it and inviting others to come along. It has an evangelism aspect with it, obviously. And that's sometimes a little scary for people.
Yeah.
But when you start putting it in terms of community, hey, I'm just inviting you to come into what I'm a part of.
That's right.
Well, that's a whole lot different. It takes a lot of pressure off in my mind. It's not like, hey, I have to have it all figured out and need to be able to answer every question about Jesus. It's just like, hey, I just want you to come be part of what I'm a part of and see if it's for you. And if it is, awesome, and it should be. But, some people choose for it not to be. It takes a lot of that pressure off of, I don't have to be able to answer every theological question or have the Romans Road memorized and know where every passage is in the Bible. It's just, hey, I'm doing this. You want to come over here and be a part of it? And that changes, I think, some of the dynamic. It's not less important, but it's less pressure, I think.
And I hope that that's what it is. It's this, I think a couple of things I'd say. We live in a society where we have so much pressure to perform.
Yes.
We want the likes, we want the clicks, we want to go viral. We have all of this. We want success right away.
Yeah.
And so we oftentimes put all this pressure on us where I think it was Eugene Peterson. He wrote the book, A Long Obedience in the Same Direction.
Yeah.
And there's this process, there's this progress that we get to make.
Yeah.
Where we, like for me, for example, I recently just lost my mother. And there is a season of life that I am now in following Jesus that I've never been in before.
Yeah.
But I've been greeted by the same verses with the new morning mercies. But those new morning mercies, they feel a little different now.
That's right.
Jesus is the same, though.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's it. Sometimes we try to complicate this thing called our relationship with Jesus. And it's really not complicated. I mean, it can be.
Yeah.
But when you really boil it down, it's love God.
And, it can be messy, too. And I think
definitely.
We like some kind of cracker box or, some kind of flannel graph Jesus where things are just, crystal clear. And it's not always clear. It's not always clean.
That's
what
right.
I mean by that, following Jesus. Sometimes it's messy.
It can be. And some people are more comfortable with messy and other people aren't. And if you need to get comfortable with that, you come to my life. We'll you can sit in my mess with me and I'll tell you how to deal with it. So it's good. So let's talk about this for a little bit. I was not here when First Baptist came up with this mission. So you said that was when?
So that was about, I started here in 21. I guess we came with that vision about 22, 23. That's when it began to really crystallize.
There you go. So help the listener right now, the people who are here at First Baptist, or maybe someone who's not at First Baptist kind of going, is this a place for me? Why do you think this mission matters right now?
Well, so one of the ways that we discovered this is we wanted to take what's the tip of the spear and start there. In other words, not get to following Jesus, not get to living sent, but if the tip of the spear is to live this sent life, not, grow, know, and go, that kind of those 3-part patterns. We wanted to start with the end in mind.
Yeah.
And in other words, if you have in your mind like a funnel, we wanted to take the funnel and turn it upside down and start with the very end. We want to say that we want to be a church that lives sent. And we define that. We define that as following Jesus and inviting others to come along. And the reason I think it matters right now is there's a resurgence that's happening, and the Lord is just giving this awakening sense as we're looking at people are more interested in Christianity now than they've been in a long time.
Yeah.
Well, what that means for us is we get to articulate clearly what it means to have a life with Christ. Not disjointed, but what does it mean to really be united with Christ? There's a phrase in the Bible that is just it's the phrase that is Paul's favorite, and it describes this relationship that he has with Jesus, and it's 2 words. It's in Christ. And so live sent. Why now? Live sent. It sort of rubs against the grain in the fact that it's not programmatic, it's not a pathway, it's emphasizing the person, this encounter with Jesus. And what it does is it emphasizes union with Christ as the most important thing about articulation.
Yeah, and anytime you institute mission and kind of, hey, this is what's driving us, it takes a little time for it to really sink in and become a part of the DNA. So roughly 2 years that Live Sent has been before First Baptist. How have you seen it impacting or making a change in the life of our church, maybe in the lives of our people? I can say some things to this based on just the limited time I've been here, but you've seen more than I have. So
when we introduced the phrase, that little phrase, "Live Sent," and we started to put that on magnets and things like that, it was amazing to me to see people have that phrase on their lips, on their tongues, and they were able to connect their faith with their experience.
Right.
They were able to connect. Okay, I'm going to serve in this capacity. I'm living sent, or I'm going to take this here. I'm living sent. I'm going on a mission trip. And it wasn't just we're going somewhere else to do this. We're in our community. Maybe it's picking some person up and giving them a meal or whatever the case. I'm living sent. And so I began to see that sort of phrase, even though we've not really had the time to massage it into our DNA, it's still being massaged. We're still defining what it means to live sent.
Yeah.
I'm seeing that phrase. It's resonating with people.
Yeah, and it's not static.
Right.
And so, what works now and how it influences both the life of, First Baptist, but also the lives of our people may be very different than how it's being influential in a couple of years. And so that's what I like about this mission is it gives us purpose. It gives us something to hold up and go, hey, this is what we're about, but it's not static. And
That's right.
you've said several times, it's not linear. It's not programmatic. People are going to approach it different ways with different attitudes based on what's happening in their lives. The church is going to use it in different ways as we go through stages of our existence as First Baptist. So there's a couple thoughts as I chew on this then. Help us understand, how is this different than a catchphrase? And let me set it for you. I lead the new member class, and we've brought it to people, and we're unpacking it, and some people are like, oh, we just thought this was just like a little catchphrase that looked good, sounded good.
Yeah.
They didn't really understand, man, this is something that drives, is part of who we are. And so how do we help people understand, hey, it's more than just a catchphrase, a feel-good phrase, possible tattoo or something to go get.
Yeah.
I don't know who's going to go get that one, but if you do, good for you.
Right.
Just that kind of stuff. So what's the difference?
I think, and this is the benefit of sort of where we are as the life of a church. Is okay. Now we got this mission. Well, how do we qualify that?
Yeah.
So, and this is where it gets tricky. This is where it gets messy, because live sent, following Jesus, is going to look different. There may be some things that, as you're following Jesus, that are not easy to quantify.
Right.
Because you now are reading your Bible more, or you now are praying more, or you are witnessing, whatever the case may be. But we're in this phase of our church now. We're pressing next to say, okay, live sent. What are some of those goals that are going to mean that we are living sent? We're meeting these metrics.
Yeah.
So even though it's organic, even though it's not static, it's lively, we still have to be able to quantify what are we doing to progress towards following Jesus and inviting others to come along.
Yeah, and so putting it in leadership terms, this is the mission. The mission is pretty set. It does not change very often, but it influences the vision, which are those goals, for lack of better terms, the things that we're trying to accomplish in the next 3 to 5 years or longer, depending on how adventurous you are in forecasting. And so the mission is living, but it's solidified.
That's right.
The vision changes based on where we're at and what we're doing.
And when I hear that, what that does, when I hear you articulate it like that, that enlivens me.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't make me feel like that I'm in a box.
Yeah.
Okay, come to church. Here's the time. Here's the steeple. Open the door. Here's the people. It's more than that. It's God could take us in places that who knows where He's going to take us.
Yes.
We could have all of these different visions that He places on our hearts for such a time as this. Are we going to be able to have the capacity and the mission statement that's going to be robust enough to respond organically to as He's leading? We're always going to follow Jesus.
Yes.
That's what it means to be a disciple. It means one who's following Jesus. How will we? Well, that may look different 20 years from now.
Well, and you're answering some of the other questions I've had of like, hey, how does this influence what we do and don't do as First Baptist? But maybe even how does this influence what someone does in their personal life of do and don't do,
Right.
And so definitely, again, it's organic. It's got some flexibility based on situations and time and stage of life and things like that. So as we think through this, I'm just kind of making sure we're still within our time frame. Someone's new to First Baptist or to their faith, and they're going, hey, what is that first thing that you really would say I need to do? How would you encourage the listener right now? Hey, if you don't feel like you're living sent, the step I would encourage you to take is what?
I just got a call the other day from someone in my family, and they were wanting to lead his wife well. And one of the things that he wanted to do was he said, I realize that I need to lead my wife more in Bible study. And so what does that mean for this family unit? It means then I was able to encourage him, why don't you start with the Gospel of John, read the Gospel of John to your wife, and y'all get the same translation so that you're reading it together and take turns. It can be something as simple as that. It can be something as no matter, if we're a community where we have a lot of retirees. Some people may move here and they think that they're coming to follow Mississippi State sports. Well, we want to challenge that, and we want to say, well, there's something more grand in your life, and it's following Jesus. And maybe following Jesus means getting involved with the FCA, like we have members that are retirees that come here and they do. Or maybe that looks like equipping these athletes with a more robust worldview than NIL. Maybe it's following Jesus and inviting others to come along.
Yeah.
And so, or maybe it's you thought that you were coming here to retire, but actually God's going to call you to the mission field in another place.
Yeah, and I think that's, everyone's going to be at a little different spot.
That's right.
We're working on some things that help people understand, hey, when we are calling you to discipleship, what are we actually calling you to? And that'll get rolled out first of the year roughly is what I'm guessing. Excuse me. And so as I'm thinking on that question, hey, I'm new to First Baptist. What are those things that, well, obviously, yes, you said it well. Get in the Word.
Yeah.
How are you doing that? I would say you got to find your people.
Yeah.
We said it earlier. This isn't meant to be done on our own. So who's your community? And hopefully you find it here at First Baptist.
Right.
If you don't, then maybe we need to talk.
Sure.
But at the same time, you can find community all over the place here. You referenced some of that, sports and things that help people have a connection.
Oh, yeah.
And it's sometimes, it's a little easier than other, depends on what sport, what season,
That's
all
right.
that.
And even misery loves company sometimes.
That's right. And we won't go there. So.
And I would say too, just with the question, think about it. What does it mean to follow Jesus? Well, that's an invitational type of question for whoever's asking it to ask Jesus.
Yeah.
What is it? And I as a pastor, you as a pastor, what we are called to do is equip the saints, not do the work for them.
Yes.
We're not the Holy Spirit.
That's right.
We're not even the gatekeepers. We're simply the pastors. And so what does that mean? It means that we get to help people know what God's calling them to do. But ultimately, because we're good Baptists and we believe in something called soul competency, that is that you will answer for your life, I won't answer for your life, you won't answer for mine. Right. But each of us are individually responsible to God for the life that we live in obedience to Him. That means that there's an invitation to draw close to Jesus and ask the question, God, what are you calling me to do?
Yeah, and I love that. So, final question, coming to the end here.
Okay.
You're our pastor. You have a regular pulpit to say things to people.
Yeah.
But let's put you on the spot here.
Sure.
What's your personal prayer or hope for the people of First Baptist in regards to this mission?
You know, my prayer and my hope for our people at First Baptist is generationally, people will be able to look back and say, God got a hold of that people. They took eternity serious, and they wanted to follow Jesus as closely as they could, listening to him in obedience to him, and they wanted to share that with others.
Yeah.
And I hope and pray that our whole community, not just here in Starkville, Mississippi State, but this whole region will be impacted by the way that God's Spirit moves here. As I've said often, unless the Lord builds the house, what hope do we have?
Yeah.
And so I'm just excited to see what God's going to do, because He is more ready, able, willing, all the rest to do this than we are. So we're just going to watch Him work.
Yeah, and that's a good thing right there. Any final thoughts?
I love this. I hope that this podcast will help others. It really helps me to think through how do we articulate our mission better so that we can all get on the same page of what it means to follow Jesus and invite others to come along.
Love it. The music means we've come to the end. Congratulations, you survived.
Good.
So did I. Hey, we're going to be back next week with another episode of Everyday Sent, where we unpack a little bit more of what it means to live sent. I'll have Stevie Franks and Sarah Joy Price with me, and we're going to talk about why following Jesus is the first step, not the last. Hope you'll come join us for that. Hope you have a great week. Bum, bum, ba-dum, bum.